This week, Pennsylvania's early muzzleloader season brings freezer-filling opportunities with a bit of a twist. I'll be hunting both from the ground and from a saddle as I look to fill my first tag of the 2023 season. Bucks are on their feet as we move towards the rut, and finally, I get my opportunity for my first ever deer harvest from a saddle, and it's with the smoke pool.
I came from the mud, there's dirt on my hands. Strong like a tree, there's roots where I stand. Oh, I've been running from the law. Hope they won't shoot me down soon.
Just got set up in the saddle this evening and I looked up. There's a fawn moving across the top of the hill. There's an apple tree down here in this old cow pasture that is just loaded. And the deer have been making daily stops into this tree on their way to wherever they're going to feed for the evening. So, up in the saddle, hopefully out of the field of view of things like these two fawns that are coming in early, if we can avoid alerting them, can avoid alerting mature deer, and hopefully we can get a shot. This one's on its way in right now.
Through the branches and leaves that I specifically chose as cover for this setup, I spotted movement. The first mature deer of the evening steps out in broad daylight. When she begins to move towards my shooting lane, I got the camera into position and grabbed my gun to be ready before they got beyond my cover. Then, out of nowhere, the deer cleared the field.
I have spent like 20 minutes trying to figure out what just happened. There wasn't much on film. I got a lot of trees in the way. Just had the camera kind of fixed on the shooting lane, but I had a pretty good sized doe coming by. Had to take maybe 10 more steps and it was going to be in this lane. And all of a sudden, all 5 deer cleared the field. And I thought I heard like tires popping gravel. Got a squirrel running over here behind me. But I had to walk maybe 100 yards from where I parked to get to here. I think Isaac parked in the same place. So, I'm pretty sure he got home from work, got ready, came in here, and had he spent 30 more seconds to, I don't know, tie his shoes for longer or something, I had a shot. Sometimes that's the way it goes. Got plenty of time, I think they'll be back, but add that to the list of things that have gone wrong.
The deer would in fact return, but unfortunately not until absolute last light.
Well, we're starting to lose light pretty quick here. Got a text from Isaac confirmation that was exactly what happened. 2 minutes earlier or later, and I don't think it has any effect on the hunt, but it's the way it goes sometimes. I love this spot though. Probably gonna give this particular tree another try. Maybe tomorrow, we'll see. But I got nothing to say. Well, here we are back in the same tree. Been a long 24 hours wanting to get back in here this evening. Unfortunately, very similar conditions to yesterday. A little bit warmer, it's about 50 degrees right now. But got that same west wind, same kind of overcast, calm conditions. So hopefully we'll have the same, if not better, deer movement. Can't imagine we'll end up with worse timing than yesterday, so hopefully we can get it done here. Rain in the forecast for the end of the week, which definitely limits our options with the camera. So really want to get a tag filled before we get to that point. Hopefully tonight's the night. Fingers crossed.
As I watched the first of the deer move towards the pasture to feed, I spotted a much larger deer just cresting the hill above me. It was clear this was a much older, more cautious doe, and even in the heavily covered tree, I needed to be careful to not get busted, as up high on that hill, I am far from being out of her line of sight. That sure wasn't the reaction I expected. I know that I was lined up right on that shoulder she was quartering to a little bit. I'm gonna have to watch that back and see. But for her to run up that hill and really not run very hard, I do not feel good about that. To my surprise and immense relief, she had fallen just feet from where I had last seen her on the fence line.
Boy, she is a huge doe. Shot looks a lot further back on exit than I would have wanted. I'll have to flip her over and check out the entry, but what little light we have here. Definite blood in the mouth, so did no doubt get the lungs. But that probably explains the weird reaction. It was probably far back in the lungs if I had to guess. But I wanted to get the camera set up and come and take a look here before we lose light. I'm gonna get her tagged and we'll take her maybe over into the yard and get a proper look. But I mean, she is huge. Super, super thankful. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, when she ran up that hill, I didn't know what happened. Shot felt good. Like I said, we'll examine closer here in a little bit. But I am beyond thrilled to be finally sitting behind a deer here. October 18th, 2023. First kill from a saddle. Big shout out to Tethrd. That hunt doesn't happen from the ground. Just being able to sit there with younger deer moving through, I just think in all likelihood eventually they would have spotted me, you know, sitting along the fence line, and I don't think this doe ever got here. She is no doubt a big old doe. She sat up there for a long time, checking the wind, looking around, and up there in that tree, a little bit of cover, out of the line of sight, we were completely invisible. So I'm gonna start on this process, get her tagged, get her gutted. Like I said, we'll take her back and see what happened with the entrance, but finally on the board. Well, it turns out the shot was actually right, kind of where I thought, right in behind the shoulder. Definitely should have aimed in the shoulder, maybe in front of the shoulder. So first thing we did, got her tagged, gutted her, brought her in here and hosed her out, thus the water on the fur. But I am just thrilled. Big old doe, gonna have fresh venison. Taking a deer from a saddle was pretty darn cool, with a muzzleloader as well. And finally on the board October 18th, about a month and a half earlier than last year. So pretty excited to have gotten it done tonight, and we're gonna finish up the job here and hopefully we can build on this. But could not be happier than to take a doe and muzzleloader this year. Well, we made it out for the final day of Pennsylvania's early muzzleloader season. Finally got on the board on Wednesday. Feeling way better now, going into kind of start of the rut with some fresh venison in the freezer. But I'll tell you, this feels like the type of evening we may be able to add to that. It's a kind of windy, rainy evening, 50 degrees and dropping. The rain's supposed to be pretty much done, so I've dropped down over this steep hill. I get the feeling the deer are going to want to stay out of the wind, and I think this is the perfect spot to catch them moving around before dark. You can see I've actually got a different gun. I've got my dad's in line. Don't worry, I'm not stealing his opportunity to hunt. The last 3 days of PA's early muzzleloader are also youth and senior citizen doe season. So youth hunters, senior citizen hunters can use a rifle. So he's out as well. But I'll be honest, I wasn't super impressed with the performance of the new bullets I used. So rather than sight my gun back in, there's that wind blowing the rain out of the treetops. I'm just gonna use Dad's gun tonight. I know these bullets well. I've used them to a lot of success, so I feel a lot better about that. Feel good about our chances here. Hopefully we can mostly stay dry and maybe fill one more tag here with the muzzleloader. quite tell what deer that was. But down there, 150 yards, just glimpses through the trees. I saw far more looking through the viewfinder of the camera than what I could see through the scope. And I got no clue where that other deer was. I don't know if it was that little forky from earlier. Saw it for just a split second, but either way, it's 5:51. Got about an hour before dark. At least 2 bucks on their feet, long before last light. It's getting to be that time of year. It's a lot of fun coming up in the next couple of weeks. I think we got a little preview right there.
As the bucks moved off, light would fade without another deer sighting.
Well, looking like that's going to be a wrap for Pennsylvania's early muzzleloader season here in 2023, and a wrap for week 3. Fun week. Finally got on the board. It's actually my first muzzleloader kill since my first year self-filming. There's no way I could have gotten that on film. 2 gray foxes just come running down the hill, like 5 yards away. Jeez. One of them was pretty big. Still there looking at me, but I highly doubt I can. Yeah, it's gonna run right away. Gonna be entirely out of focus and probably couldn't even see it, but nice to finally take a doe, like I said earlier in the hunt, going into the rut here. Sure is nice to have a little fresh venison in the freezer. And best of all, we got to see some antler tonight. Nothing more encouraging than going into the past couple weeks of the year, seeing antler on our last kind of exclusive doe hunt. So, I'm going to get on out of here. Probably going to end up seeing those gray foxes again further up the hill.
October deer hunting combines both elements that I love about being in the deer woods. Natural movement patterns still persist, making for a great opportunity to blend into the background and observe consistent daylight deer movement. And of course, the chance to fill the freezer and put food on the dinner table for so many hunters is one of the biggest draws to early season hunting. But also, pre-rut activity can, seemingly out of nowhere, bring about those sightings that get the heart of a deer hunter pumping without fail. Glimpses of antler moving through the trees as the bucks begin to seek out does and themselves make daylight appearances with frequency. Fortunately, we got to witness both as we move into the latter stages of the season. As always, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.